Hi, my name is Sanya and I am a psychologist working at Over a Cup of Tea with an organization based in Calcutta, and we work in the field of mental health wherein we provide psychotherapeutic services to people for various mental health concerns that they may be facing. So today I'm going to be touching upon a barely spoken about topic, but at the same time it's an extremely pertinent conversation to have, and that's about how to choose the right therapist for yourself. So before we get into this conversation, it's first important to acknowledge that therapy is an extremely intimate space, but at the same time, it's a very unfamiliar space because there is still a lot of stigma that is attached to therapy as a concept in people who go to therapy as well. The general misconception is that people who go to therapy are weak. But on the contrary, therapy is actually a sign of strength because it takes a lot to first recognize and acknowledge that there is distress. And at the same time, it also takes a lot to then decide to do something about it and trust another professional with that distress. So this makes it all the more important for us to put out as many resources as possible to equip people with reliable and correct information so that their experience of therapy can be as fulfilling as it should be. So when we do start this conversation of choosing the right therapist for yourself, the most important point that has to be spoken about is the concept of doing due diligence work to make the right choice. Whenever we consider a visit to a regular doctor, we do tend to run a basic background check on them. So we want to see whether they're qualified enough to handle our health concerns, and we also want to go over some of the reviews, which could either be online or could be from trusted people in our own social circle to give us some recommendations on who's a really good doctor to visit. So with therapy, I think it is a very similar process too, that you have to sort of put in that work and put in that research to make sure that you're looking for someone who is the right fit for you, because like I said, that therapy is an intimate space and the association is going to be a longer one in terms of the duration for which you will be seeing your therapist, which is why it becomes important that you look for somebody who understands you, you look for someone that you can connect with. And I think the purpose of the video is also to walk you through the process of understanding who is the right fit for you and what are the things that you should consider when you're making that choice. So the due diligence work before choosing a therapist is extremely important because it allows you to also figure out what sort of a therapist are you looking for, so that you can feel comfortable enough to speak to them and visit them regularly. The most important marker of change in therapy is considered to be the therapeutic relationship between the client and the therapist. So there needs to be an authentic connect between the two for there to be movement in the direction of progress in therapy. So it becomes important to ask yourself this question at this point, that what do I need from my potential therapist to feel safe enough to open up to them? An example also helps to understand this better. So if a woman has gone through an experience of sexual assault inflicted upon her by a man, for instance, and if she is reaching out for therapy to deal with the trauma that is associated with that experience, and if she goes to a male therapist for the same, it's likely that she might feel unsafe in that situation because of the therapist's male identity. Having said that, this is not an implication that the male therapist is unsafe for her. It means that the trauma that she carries inhibits her from feeling completely safe in session, which is why it's only fair for her to look out for a therapist who is a better fit for her, and in this case would be a female therapist. Another example to explain this would be someone from the LGBTQ community, for instance, who is seeking therapy and reaches out to a therapist who's not particularly attuned to the lived realities of someone who identifies with non-normative gender or sexual identities. In this situation, this person is likely to feel extremely invalidated and unheard in session with their therapist. So it becomes only fair for them to actively seek out queer affirmative therapists who can resonate with their experience and hence have a more authentic connect with them in therapy. So the idea here that I'm trying to put across is that therapists are not blank slates and their identities do have a significant role to play in the process of therapy, which is why it becomes all the more important for therapists also to acquaint themselves with the idea that different intersections of identities do have an impact on an individual's mental health experience, and it is the work also that they need to put in to acquaint themselves with it so that they can make therapy accessible for all. And at the same time, it's important that the clients also sort of think about these points and these identities and how they can play out in their experience of therapy as well. Reading up on a therapist's profile is a good starting point to assess whether they're going to be the right fit for you or not. Most therapists do have their professional background online where you can have a look at their educational qualifications and their general interests of work. So it becomes important to also know what are the minimum qualifications for someone to be a therapist. So I think what you should be looking out for is someone who has a master's in psychology. With that, also there are various categories, but the two major broad ones that one might come across are masters in clinical psychology and masters in counseling psychology. So as the name suggests, masters in counseling psychology means that someone is qualified to offer counseling sessions and to take individual sessions and group sessions. Along with that, a master's in clinical psychology means that this person is qualified to carry out counseling, but at the same time is also qualified to conduct psychometric assessments like IQ tests, personality tests, and these also help to further move a person towards a diagnosis. So this is the major difference between a clinical psychologist and a counseling psychologist. A psychiatrist is a completely different space because it's purely medical, wherein the person will be carrying an MBBS and an MD degree at the minimum. Along with that, they are the ones who are qualified to prescribe medication, but counseling and clinical psychologists are not qualified to prescribe medication. So these are the sort of differences between counseling, clinical psychologists and psychiatrists. Along with that, it's also important to have a look at what your therapist's theoretical stance is. So it's important to see whether they use the cognitive behavioral therapy approach, or are they attuned to the Freudian psychodynamic space, or whether they use person-centered approaches in therapy. I do understand that these are technical terms and can be very intimidating, which is why it's only fair to ask the therapist how this is going to inform your experience in therapy, and ask them how it's going to play out and what to expect, and then you can also gauge whether it's something that is the right fit for you. One of the most important factors determining the choice of a therapist is the amount that they charge per session. So it's important to look for a therapist who fits into your budget bracket. There is a common idea that therapy is extremely expensive because therapists charge exorbitant amounts of money for each session. I want to say that that is a myth, because there are many therapists who do offer sliding scales for populations like students who can't particularly afford therapy at regular rates. So it's always helpful to ask your potential therapist about their provisions for sliding scales before the session is booked. Bargaining rates after the session can put both the client and the therapist in an uncomfortable position, and also it really hampers the therapeutic process as well. So it helps to have all of those conversations before the session is booked. So it's important that the client also sort of puts in the research to see how much the therapist charges before the session is booked. Another important factor factor to consider before choosing a therapist is accessibility. It's important to choose a therapist who practices close to where you stay or close to where you work, because then it means that you don't have to spend a lot of time commuting to go for therapy, and at the same time you're also not spending a lot of money to travel to therapy. So that's one thing that's very important to consider. It's also important to clarify with your therapist if they are offering telephonic or online counseling sessions, in case you're not able to access them for face-to-face sessions. So these are also important conversations to have before you choose your therapist. Conversations about ethics like confidentiality and boundaries are extremely important to have with your therapist, because it makes sure that both of you are on the same page. Most therapists will share this information themselves firsthand, but it's also important to have this information yourself so that you can clarify any questions that you may have. Most therapists are available over email, so you could shoot those questions across to them over email. Some of the important and pertinent questions that you could ask them could be about confidentiality, who has access to the content of the session, what their cancellation policy is. So if you were to cancel your session last minute, what is the amount of money that is going to be charged for the session. It's also important to ask about how long each session is going to be, and if there is a provision to book back-to-back sessions if you need to. Along with that, asking them how to reach them outside of sessions. So ask them what their preferred medium of contact would be. Would they prefer to be reached over email or phone or SMS or WhatsApp? So most therapists are comfortable communicating over email, so it's also important to let them know in situations in which you are likely to reach out to them outside of sessions, and also asking them situations in which they are likely to make exceptions about contact. Also, if there is a possibility that you are feeling suicidal or are in a crisis or emergency situation, what are the ways in which you can reach out to your therapist? So these bunch of questions are important to ask your therapist before you begin therapy also, so that both of you are on the same page and you have all the information you need and there's no sort of miscommunication between the two. I hope this has been helpful for you to answer the question of how to choose the right therapist for yourself. This is an extremely important conversation to have before starting therapy, so I do hope that I have covered most of the ground when it comes to this particular topic. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope this helped.